Welcome to the ZimmCast, a program dedicated to bringing you what's new in agricultural marketing. The ZimmCast is the official podcast of AgWired and hosted by Chuck and Cindy Zimmerman.
Hello and welcome to the ZimmCast. I'm Chuck Zimmerman. In this episode, I'm going to share some comments and a question with an IFAJ Webinar. That's International Federation of Agricultural Journalists. The topic was Artificial Intelligence's Impact on R&D for Agriculture. Moderating was Steve Werblow, IFAJ President, and Martin Clough, Syngenta Crop Protection's R&D Head of Digital Collaboration and Sustainability, and Andre Piza, Syngenta's Group Global Head of Digital AgTech. The question I posted to them was, are there any concerns about the cost of data centers and including issues like the climate and sustainability? So let's go ahead and get started with Martin and his remarks.
It's a real pleasure to be here. Andre and I, between us, we cover the end-to-end from the very first discovery of new crop protection products all the way through to making them meaningful in the hands of farmers globally. So what we're hoping to do today is to have an interactive session. It's very light on slides. We've only got 2 slides each, and do a bit of storytelling and listen to the questions that you pose to us and do our very best to answer them and cut through some of the hype around AI. So how are we really using it? So the inside story. So I'm sure you've heard a lot about the potential of AI in agriculture, and there's a lot of arm waving going on about AI. But truly, this is a really great time to be working in research and development in agriculture. Best time of my life, for sure. Because we've got several different technologies that have all come together at just about the same time. So we've got our ability to manage big data, which has always been a big struggle because AI is nothing without data. We'll talk about that in a minute. But our ability to manage big data is now really here. We've got the technologies and the tools to be able to do that. We've also got AI, generative AI, which is accelerating at such a rapid pace. And in addition to that, we've got a better understanding of how chemistry and biology interact together in science through so-called omics technologies. So genomics, transcriptomics, metabolomics. It's basically how do chemistry and biology interact, understanding that space. So all of those things coming together have brought a step change in innovation, and it's all happened within the last, I'd say, 3 to 5 years. Now, we've been using AI for much longer than that, 20 years, but it wasn't called AI then. It was machine learning, and the AI terminology only really came into play about 5 years ago, and it means something quite different now. But it's not all about agents and LLMs, and we'll tell you a little bit about that during the story. So what we're trying to do between us, Andre and I, is bring differentiated innovation into the hands of farmers. And by differentiated, it means the products, the crop protection products that we're working on have got to be substantially better than what's currently available and bring more value. And we need to bring that to farmers faster so that it's relevant to the problems they've got today, and in a more productive way so it's affordable, because it's tough being a farmer. Okay, I'm sure you all know that. So the real question isn't what AI can do in theory, but how we're going to use it to bring better products to the farmer faster, more productively. And we take a grower-centric approach. So we get our insight from the farmer. I'm just going to share a slide now, one of my 2. Okay, so end-to-end connection of data from the farmer to our scientists is where we're trying to be going here. So we really want to be capturing data from how a farmer is actually experiencing our products. Is it working in their agricultural ecosystem? What are their findings? Is it performing as expected? And feed that information back to our researchers And historically, it's been very difficult to do that. There's been many layers between a researcher and the farmer, but for the first time, we can actually do that now. But this comes with consequences. We have to be very respectful to the privacy of farmers' data. They have to agree to share it with us, and it has to be really relevant to innovation. And so it's not as easy as it sounds. But using that data to inspire research and make sure that products are better for the farmer, that's the key thing. Will they meet the need, not just of the farmer today, but typically the farmer of 10 years from now, the farmer of the future? So that's a key challenge for. Now, okay, so once we've got all of that data, we use it to design new products. And there's a number of different ways we can design new products using AI. So AI will help us to discover completely new targets, new ways of controlling pests, weeds, and diseases that may be resistant to existing compounds. Safer, we want to find targets that are very selective to the particular diseases that we're looking to target, that are completely benign to humans, operators, to non-target organisms in the environment and to the environment itself. And so we can use things like protein folding models, which is also AI, for example, to discover new targets, or genomic large language models. This lets us read gene sequences as if they're common language and understand what those genes actually do. Super clever stuff. Don't ask me to explain it in detail. Then, once we've actually got a target, we start inventing things and we find a lead. Now, historically, what we would have done is we'd found a lead chemical, and then we would have optimized that chemical for performance, for efficacy. It has to work, otherwise we don't have a product. And we make thousands of molecules, very close analogs, and all the time looking for improved efficacy. And we find the most effective one. Then we'd optimize for safety. It's got to be really safe. So we'd tweak that molecule and we'd find the very safest one and maybe make some trade-offs in the efficacy. So the safest one isn't the most effective. Then it's got to be cost effective. So you optimize it for cost of goods and then for sustainability. So you're optimizing for a number of different parameters, one after the other in a sequence. Each time making thousands of molecules, taking a long time, it's a huge amount of effort. Now we've got something called generative design, which replaces all of that. What we do is we design molecules in a computer. So the computer can design any sort of molecule and it can optimize it against efficacy, safety, cost of goods, sustainability, formulations, whatever you like, in silico, in the computer, by using predictive models. So think of it as like a Rubik's Cube. Hopefully you can see this. So historically, we would optimize one side of the cube, then another side of the cube, and then a third side of the cube. And before you knew it, we've scrambled everything up and it's hugely wasteful. So these generative models allow us to do the equivalent of solving a Rubik's Cube, all 6 sides at once. It's very fast, it's very targeted, it reduces what would have been years worth of work into months. And it's all driven by these predictive models. In research, we typically use around 50 different models to optimize maybe 15 different parameters simultaneously. So it's a massive deal. But then we have to make those things and we have to test them in the field, and they've got to be effective, and they don't always perform as we expect. So we take the data that we find from the field and we use that to retrain the models, and the models get better and better every year. And of course, a product is not just the active ingredient, it's a formulation. And you can use the same concept to optimize the formulated mixture. Maybe it's a mixture of 2 different active ingredients or 3 different active ingredients formulated in a particular way. And you can use the same predictive models and the same what we call multi-parameter optimization approach to optimize your product for whatever the farmer's use is, for their needs their cost, their ability to bear the cost of the product, the particular problems they're facing, resistance, etc. So all of those challenges that farmers are facing, we can design for. It's not as easy as it sounds. We're still limited by data. We do not have all the data we can get. And we do a pretty good job, I would say. This approach to design is still almost, let's say, 5 to 10 years away from hitting commercial sales, because it only started in the last 3 to 5 years. So we haven't got any products in the market that have been designed this way. But if you're around in 5 or 6 years, you'll start to see these things coming to market. And we aim to accelerate the rate those things come to market, because we're also using AI for productivity, the last column on this chart, where using optimized workflows, using predictions rather than testing in the field, etc., helps us get to that commercial decision faster. So we believe this approach, and we call it agricultural intelligence, I think, rather than artificial intelligence, if you want to brand it. This approach is actually going to help us make those breakthroughs and bring products to market, better products, faster, more productively than ever before. Now, once we've got them in the market, Andre has to help our farmers how to use them.
Now let's listen to Andre and the comments that he gave at the beginning of the session.
Thank you, Steve, for having us here. And Martin, it's always a pleasure to hear your story. It's so fascinating. Every time I hear, I feel like the emotion of working in Syngenta again. So I just realized, Steve, that I didn't share my background. It is more forward-looking. So just a bit on that. I'm in this industry for 30 years, the technology industry, not the agricultural industry. And I have participated in many moments of the technology industry, like the internet bubble, for example. I have worked in internet portals. I built my career in the financial industry, mostly in Brazil. And before joining Syngenta, I was running an e-commerce platform for Latin America. But when I came to Syngenta, that was a huge transformation in my career, because being a Brazilian, I connect agriculture to my roots. We used to farm when I was a kid, and my family farm had a lot of problems managing the farm. And this is why, one of the reasons, not the only one, but one of the reasons why I joined Syngenta, if I could help other people not to go through the same struggles that my family have been through. And I'm pretty happy that we are developing solutions in that direction. Now, going to my Syngenta journey, I started around 3.5 years ago. And when I joined Syngenta, our strategy was around building apps. So it was the moment of building apps, and we wanted to build the app to solve solutions that we were seeing that were important. Right after that, we saw that only the apps alone wouldn't work. So we started our platform journey, connecting all those apps into a single workflow and integrated data between the apps. So we could see the journey started planning the season, but also when I was harvesting, I could have all the history and everything connected before even we know that we were going to use that data in a bigger flow with AI, for example, which goes to the next level that we are building now. Today in CropWise, we are investing heavily in AI, so we can go from the platform and solution journey to decision-making and support to the grower in knowledge that he would not have otherwise, depending on the region and the maturity of the grower, of course, giving more support to faster decisions and better decisions. Now, I'm talking a lot about CropWise, just so everyone understands what CropWise is. We are this complete suite that covers all the life cycle of the grower, from planning the season to harvesting, and even go into risk mitigation products that we have. And all of those products today, they have a certain level of AI in things that will help productivity, decision-making, and different approaches. Like, for example, today we have one report that is called a real-time report that if you are the owner of the farm, you will see a certain level of information, but the same report to the manager will be more tactical and more operational, and the same report to the farm worker will be more directed to what he need to apply or he need to do. So we are customizing CropWise as a whole with AI, bringing all those mechanisms. And CropWise, as I'm showing here, today it helps on the risk mitigation that I just mentioned, but also with the precision offer that we have, making sure that we can even use less inputs. Even being Syngenta, we are very much worried about the sustainability offers and everything that we can do on that, protecting the grower to do whatever is best for him. Understanding the regulations of each of the regions. We are a global product. We are in all regions, but we need to understand the regulation individually of all those regions so we can come to the right recommendations for our customers. We also have other tools that are not related necessarily to big or large scale growers, are pretty much focused on smallholders, especially in APAC and India, where we take agronomic knowledge to them in more than 3,000 different languages. And this app or part of the platform, solution of the platform in specific, it has more than 4 million downloads and is being used to a large scale population. We also have solutions that will monitor your crops and your environment, and according to your practice, trying to simulate what would be the best ways moving forward, changing your practices, changing the way you use your machines, changing, for example, a few of the routes that you do today with the machines or the schedules you work with the grower's worker, and helping them with the operations of their farm. So in a glance, this is CropWise, and super happy to go deep in each one of the questions that we will have. But I have just one more slide, because this is our vision on what is CropWise today. And this is the vision that we understand CropWise is evolving as an AI platform as well, and not only as a solution or data platform like we started the journey. So the way we see, you can see the same wheel of the grower needs in each time of their phases according to the life cycle, but in a much more fluid way and with different personas as well. So we want to help the Syngenta employee to be more precise when he's talking to the grower. We want to help the entire channel to be more assertive, taking the grower what he really needs. And we also want to help the grower. You can see in the picture, it is in the center, not only so the picture is beautiful, but because we work like this and the architecture is like this. So everything we do is related to the grower, and the AI intelligence will help him to solve the complexities of dealing with the technology as well. I have an opinion that AI will democratize how the access to the technology, because today we invest a lot in user experience and trying to make things easier for the grower, but reality is still complex. And people need to learn how to use those technologies. And I think AI with a more easy to use interface, like a chatbot or reports that are more customized, like the one I said, will lower this complexity down. But to get there, we need to understand, I think Martin mentioned a lot of very important topics that we are also concerned when we go to a more commercial application, like data privacy, for example. But there is one that it's more related to the customer, right? The customer needs to trust what we are doing, and they need to trust our recommendations and start to use, so we can see the ROI or the value going all the way to the chain, to the value chain. And for that, we believe that being transparent, showing exactly what is the rational process that we are creating, and respecting the data, it's the most important assets that we need to give to the grower. And we are working all the architecture in this direction.
And this is an answer to the question that I gave them.
So I've given some thought about this, as you might imagine, because I'm responsible for sustainability. Did a bit of work as well. So one of the questions we were asked was, are AI data centers kind of competing with agricultural land? And I did a bit of math. So there's 4.8 billion hectares of agricultural land in the world, and around just over 11,000 data centers so far in the world, which are typically somewhere between 20 to 80 hectares each on average. There's big ones and smaller ones, but still, even there was a recent UN Universities report which extrapolated the area covered by data centers to something like 1.4 million hectares by 2030. But still, that's a very, very tiny number next to 4.8 billion hectares of agricultural land. So realistically, I don't think there's a direct competition with land area. That said, there will be massive impact on local communities. If you have a data center in your backyard, some of these are hundreds of hectares in size and consuming vast amounts of power and water. So if you're unfortunate to have one in your backyard, this is a huge deal, whatever the impact on global agriculture is. About a third of that data center capacity is used for AI, believe it or not. The rest of it is used for all sorts of other stuff, storing your YouTube videos or whatever. Now we had a look at some of the AI that we use. We found actually it consumes a tiny amount of power, water, and generates very little emissions compared to some of the big users. So our most popular agentic platform that's used by about 15,000 people in Syngenta has got an environmental footprint rather less than I have personally as an individual person in Switzerland. So it's the scale of what we're trying to do. Yes, we use AI, very specialist AI, but we use it very surgically. It's not massive usage in our industry. You can't get away from the impact of AI. Data center technology is evolving. There's a lot of sensitivity around new data centers that need to be more sustainable. I saw an article recently about in China, they dropped a data center off the coast of Shanghai. It's powered by wind turbines and it's cooled by seawater. That's also not necessarily sustainable. I'm a scuba diver. I want the oceans protecting. And then Elon Musk with the floating SpaceX with the IPO, he said one of his pillars was data centers in space because it's cold and there's a lot of sun up there for power. Who knows? It'll change, it'll evolve. But yeah, we do pay a lot of attention to the economy and the impact of what we're doing here. It is something that we're very conscious of. Yeah,
I can offer also an additional perspective. One is Syngenta take this very seriously, and from the IT organizational viewpoint, all the suppliers that we work with, we ask about their sustainability certifications to make sure that they're also pursuing the same goals that we are in terms of this, like Martin was mentioning, getting better and better and not worse, right? Damaging even more. The other thing is now from a crop-wise perspective, how we use AI and the AI that we use with our growers, you need to outperform that damage as well, right? So the things that we are bringing should be better than the consumption we are making, at least us. Let's talk about us because we are not yet data center managers, right? So let's make sure that we know about what we are doing. And also, just a last one, we invest quite heavily, to be honest, to make sure that we are using the AI the most efficient way. So like Martin said about solutions, but not only in different solutions, in a single solution, we try to optimize how we use AI. As soon as we have the problem solved, the next interactions and phases of the software development, we'll go to make sure that I'm using less and less of that AI and still giving the right answers, or creating technology strategies. And this is important financially and also because of the sustainability aspect.
So if you are not a member of IFAJ, consider joining your local Agricultural Journalists Guild. Find out more on the ifaj.org website. That's the ZimmCast for now. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the ZimmCast, the official podcast of AgWired. Check us out at www.agwired.com to find out what's new in agricultural marketing.